Today, we're diving into one of my favorite topics, the fascinating notion that AI and technology is actually a reflection of our own human potential. I'm sitting down with Ashley Mosaic, a futurist who bridges the world of technology and consciousness in ways that will blow your mind. We're diving into why TikTok feels more authentic than Instagram, how nervous system regulation is becoming essential as technology speeds up, and Ashley's insights on the predicted 2027 shift that could change everything about how we work and live. We'll explore why slowing down is crucial while everything around us accelerates, how to trust your intuition when nothing makes logical sense, and why the jobs that will matter the most in 30 years don't even freaking exist yet. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by the pace of change or wondering how to stay authentic in an increasingly automated world, this conversation will ground you while opening you up to incredible possibilities. Let's dive in.
Danielle Mercury. It's time for the show with Danielle. Welcome to the show. Danielle Mercury. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Ashley. Welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited.
Of course. This is rare. I don't usually have organic finds on the show in this way.
Ooh,
You're a rare gem.
I love hearing that. Just loving things to happen a little bit more naturally.
Yeah.
And it always leads us to good stuff.
I think so. Yeah, I hang out on TikTok. So what's interesting is I have more of a presence on Instagram, but I have more fun on TikTok. That's to be how it goes. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I
1000%. It feels like when you are on Instagram, sometimes there's this energy of like you are having to keep up some sort of an appearance, even though you like know you shouldn't be doing that, you feel like you need to a little bit. Whereas when you're on TikTok, it's just like, okay, let me tell you what's really going on, and you kind of let your hair down, and you actually show who it is you are.
Exactly. It's like anything goes, and you can focus on what you really want to focus on too. Because I think with Instagram, it's like, well, I'm going to focus on this, but then I also have to like show my dog, and then I also have to like tend to this, and then I also have to see my ex-boyfriend that I should have blocked, but I haven't. It's like, do I need all of that?
There's a lot more strategy, but not even strategy necessarily for like impact or generating something. It's just strategy of how do I do this so I don't end up feeling more uncomfortable. And you're like,
That's
yeah.
so true. Right. It's not just working the algorithm, it's also working like the social dynamics as well. So for anyone, because there's still people out there that are like, oh no, I'm good on Instagram, I'm not gonna get on TikTok. I'm like, come on TikTok. It's way more fun.
It is. It's like everybody like after 2 glasses of wine. You're just like, let me just tell you what I really think about this. Let me show you.
That's so true. Let's take off the filters. Let's not do the like weird,
Yeah.
text that you have to do so that it can be seen.
And also with me, and I know many people have experienced this as well with Meta, so many different little glitches, or your account gets taken away or it gets hacked, and there's just this real lack of, it's like you're putting a lot of effort into it, but a lot of the effort goes into this fear around losing it.
Yeah.
Which brings up a lot of scarcity, and for myself it does. I've lost my account so many times, and it's like it's a part of my hero's journey every time it happens.
Yeah. I was like deep into Instagram in the phase where all the fake accounts for spiritual people were being made. So then apparently I was, the fake account of me was reaching out to people. And there were people that literally gave these accounts money thinking it was me, which I felt bad about. But then I'm also like, do you think I'm that kind of person? Like I'm so not the type to be like, book a reading with me. Like, I just feel like if you want to work with me, you'll figure it out, right? Like, that's not my job to tell you. But that was definitely messing with me a lot because I felt like I had more to prove. And then I felt like I was constantly just reminding people like, by the way, this is me. This isn't me. And then it kind of messes with your head in that way. You're like, well, what is me? And who am I? And how am I showing up?
Can I be less replicated? And this easily? Oh my gosh, which brings it into like these conversations of what a lot of people are dealing with right now, the idea that anything that
Yeah.
can be replicated can be automated. So if it's, oh wow, if we are just posting an image or posting a video and we're not actually putting more of our essence into it, then we are kind of just this little like copy paste.
Right. And now we're in a space where people are doing it. We can also do it intentionally if we want to, right?
Mhm.
So now you can also feed the technology those things to create on your behalf. And almost, so then the question is it a fake profile if it's being created on your behalf in your essence and likeness?
I've had a number of conversations about this lately, and some people saying, well, they would feel a little bit cheated if they found out that one of their favorite creators was entirely AI. And then I was having a conversation with somebody else pertaining to the idea of even like using AI to write a book, to entirely like write a book on your behalf. And there's some people that were in more in this camp of, well, if I found out that I read a book that I thought was from my favorite creator, my favorite author, and it was entirely AI generated, like I would feel cheated. Whereas
Mhm.
I've thought about like, okay, I understand that, but think about the idea that if somebody is taking away that own effort and work, then putting that in, like putting their own like essence into their work, they're also cheating themselves. When somebody were to say like, "Oh, I'm a published author," and they know they wrote that book in 90 seconds,
Yep.
they didn't even read it.
No,
They're like,
they just
you
scan
don't
your
have
own.
that same up to it. You don't have that pride, that feel like that sense of earning it.
Yeah. The sense of also the creative process.
Totally.
And so I
And
think
who you become along the way, not just let me tell you about who I can be.
who I was. And,
Yeah.
and that's, I think also, if we think about it from that way, it's kind of interesting because I know you're a futurist and more of that future forward perspective, which is what technology is bringing us closer to the future. But in a lot of ways, right now, the way that we're using AI is actually just pulling from the past.
Yep.
And I don't know if we're always looking at it that way. So like when you're using AI, you're using it actually in a past tense. You might
Mhm.
think it's future forward, but it's literally programmed on your past. And so it's up to us to automate it in such a way where it's able to work with you, but you're still keeping that creative zone and you're still staying in that intuitive discernment that is allowing us to bridge the future. It's not the technology that's creating it.
Yeah. Then I always say is that as human consciousness expands, technology accelerates in tandem because it's a reflection of us. It's a mirror of us. We have new goals, new levels of awareness, and we need these tools to help us essentially do those things. But if we are using this technology, which essentially then through that lens came to us to help us do these newer and greater things, but we're just using it to automate emails, we're just using it to, no, we can work in our sleep. I'm like, what?
Okay. Yeah. And it's like, yes, and it's also for me, I always talk about the why, right? Like, okay, great, use it to automate, but why? And if you do gain more time, what are you doing with that time? Are you just scrolling more because of it? Are you just finding other ways to zone out? Or are you like, wow, I automated in this way and now I'm starting a garden, or I automated in this way so I can go volunteer more. I automated this way so I can spend more time with my family, right? Like, what is the actual why? And I don't know, it's just there's so much opinion around AI, but it's like, why can't we just focus on what you're using it for and why? And I feel like people don't actually want to go there.
Yeah, I think there's potentially going to be sort of a like crisis is a strong word, but like a meaning crisis going forward because
Mm.
so many things that we have placed our importance on, our identity on, are going to be shifting radically.
Mhm.
And with that comes a lot of the idea, well, what do we care about now? Or if anybody can have that, does that even matter now? Just the idea that we can all remain a bit more adaptable and even fluid in our identities, but fluid in what we care about, just fluid in more things so that we're not constantly grasping to try to hang on to what was, right? The idea,
Mhm.
everything like this is now the past. This is now the past. Everything that we're doing, yes, it is quickly passing us. But then also, if we are using this new technology in ways that are just more reminiscent of a more industrial era mindset, we're missing a really massive opportunity. But the future comes in, it happens in waves, right? There's a big wave that comes and it kind of seems like that wave crashes and then it goes back, but it doesn't all leave. It's like little remnants of it. And then something else comes and we're there. So if we are staying in this state of hyper, just, reactivity or, okay, this is different. I have to be the first one to do it. I have to make sure all of that ooh, energy disconnects us and is the very thing that keeps us in that same scarcity survival mode where we're wanting to automate emails in our sleep
Yeah.
so we can do something. We're
Yeah.
we're we're forever sending emails is like still at the end of the day.
I know. And I'm like, I actually don't send that many emails when it comes down to it. Now that I think about it, like I don't. And it's interesting too, like when I reflect on what you just shared, it's like we're trying to save something that we don't even want. We're trying to save something that's already broken. We're trying to save something that is stressful, like sending emails or like certain aspects, like the saying, AI won't replace you, but someone that knows how to use AI, or people that are worried that AI will replace their jobs. It's like, good. Do you like your job? Why are you trying so hard to save a job you might not even like? What if this is creating a gateway for opportunity for a job you actually might love? Or we don't even call it a job anymore.
Yeah. There's the idea that I think there's so many different statistics that are thrown around, but it is something like 89% of like the jobs that are going to be like the main jobs in like 30 years, like they do not even exist yet, right? Who knows what it'll be like a compassion trainer to AI program, these things that we're
I like
I
that.
don't even what does that look like? Who
Yeah.
does that? How does that? But it's either remembering that, the future comes in waves. There's always going to be when something else comes in, we will be able to handle that when we get there. But right now, we are not configured for that. We are configured for what is. But if we are so firmly clinging to what is and what was, really not allowing for that what's new to come in. And this technology, I mean, I truly believe that it can elevate humanity in such incredible ways, but we have to surrender to the process a bit and also be mindful of a lot of these narratives that are just these little like hot takes that people are throwing around. You're like, where did that even come from? Or who's actually saying that? The idea, right? I've heard that so many times, AI won't take your job. Somebody will use an AI to take your job. But it's like, that's the idea then that there's still the scarcity of this like haves versus the have nots, even in the technological sphere. When in reality, I do not think that there's going to be any job position role that is not going to be impacted by this technology. And that does not have to be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's right. It's the idea that before it was that it was going to be it was thought that it was going to be primarily the more manual labor jobs. Those are the ones that are going to be most deeply impacted. And now, well, this technology is the IQ, I think it's like 160 now, and they're constantly pushing that. So soon it's going to be like lawyers, doctors, and even then the idea that the definitions of a lot of these careers and professions will be shifting, and then what that means, the identity that people have, if that is there. Somebody's like, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. In 10 years, it's like, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Right. It's going to be completely different. And look, these roles that we currently play, like doctor, lawyer, they weren't always around, right? And they evolved. I feel like maybe doctor, medicine and learning how to heal and whatnot, but like
Even
lawyer,
there, it's shifted. I don't know if it
yeah.
was always this like primo type of, almost elite type of position, which I think in some circles it is.
Absolutely. So a lot of this is based on condition, even the mistrust. Like some of it's not your fault if you are freaking out or scared. Part of it's just the condition of the world that we live in. It always teaches us to mistrust, right? So naturally, I understand why as a collective we are, but we have such a beautiful opportunity for compassion. And then the workaround is, well, what could this bring us? What could this bridge us into? Because we are meant to evolve. And to your point, we've gotten through times like this before, maybe not in this same quality per se, but when we look at the world as it's existed up till now, as from what we've been told, we've made it this far. And so my feeling is always like, we'll just keep going.
Yeah, the idea that the sky is falling, the world is coming to an end. That is like the tale's oldest time. There has never been a period, from from my understanding, that people haven't been discussing that. But it's also a reminder that with every technological shift, humans develop new skills in response to the technology, to whatever that revolution was. It was the agricultural revolution. Then humans had to become really strong, and then there's been numerous the first industrial revolution and the printing press and all of these different ones. And I believe now that this current one with AI, it really is about the human advantage. So the components of ourself that make us deeply, deeply human. And as much as we pride ourselves on our intellect, our ability to recall information really quickly, and sometimes it's sort of like we're all like in a trivia show or something. The ability that we're
Really, I
like
mean,
recall
that was
information so
school.
fast, and like
Yeah.
the thing I love doing is like the more I learn about technology, it's like I learn about the technology and then I'll learn something new about our systems, whether it's our nervous system, our mindset, or neuroscience. And then I'll also do these systems that are more energetic intelligence, pattern intelligence, and astrology, human design, gene keys, and all of that. But there's absolutely these incredible connections because not only was this technology essentially made in our image in some ways, like the actual neural networks within the AI technologies based on how our brain operates, but when you understand the workings of it even a little bit, you begin to understand the wow, we are incredible. My God, we are amazing. So it's not just about our ability to read a book and recall information. If that would be, some people might have that being connected to some components of a really high IQ, your ability to recall, but you're like the AI will get to a point to where I think it already has. I couldn't imagine somebody that can recall faster than AI, but can do that faster. So it's like the curiosity, it's our ability to connect dots in a way that is more connected to like tacit knowledge, our experiences, our ability to tell a story that makes people feel. So all of these things are like the new absolute, it's not the new advantage, but we're going to see that there's going to be a greater emphasis and importance placed on the people that can do that and that can regulate their nervous system, that can have a connection, that can feel safe in their body when everything around them is moving really, really fast.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's super intentional that right now, with everything happening with technology, there is more of an emphasis and more information around nervous system regulation and learning how to calm yourself and learning how to take care of yourself. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting as technology accelerates, so does self-help and improvement and awareness, right? There's a connection there. And it feels like if you can master that in one way or another, then you get to unlock kind of the next level of you, which is unlocking what I believe is like our built-in technology, which is more of the intuition. And I really do believe that there are intuitive skills that we're not even aware of yet. Just like there's technology we're not aware of, there's intuitive things that we are capable of that are going to blow us away and that are, I mean, people can already do it, but I think more and more of us will. But I think it's because of the sweet spot of what's happening right now.
Really, I think that there's massive upgrades available for all of us. And just as, if you want to, on your phone, on your computer, you have to update the operating system to be able to handle the downloads. Otherwise it crashes, it gets buggy, or just doesn't work at all.
Goes down.
But we have to do that, and so I've used all these different systems, and, one of them that I've been using and tracking for a while is this kind of in reference to this time that we're in right now, is one of them is human design, and it has long discussed the idea of 2027 is this massive shift as society is transitioning from a more tribal and collective energy where there's the tribal dynamics, which is more based around like the higher energy of that would be, having connections, doing that. But then there's the self-sacrificing that is inherent, especially whenever you get to the end of any kind of a cycle. And within there is a lack of differentiation, a lack of individuality. But moving into this phase now where individuality and uniqueness is something that is going to be not only just an advantage, but more something that's required, understanding that we are all so unique and so different. But within that as well, is all these societal shifts taking place. So we're seeing all of that coincide with technology and with everything happening in the geopolitical landscape and even the politics in the United States. But then another component with the 2027 shift is this idea of this sort of upgrade to our solar plexus, which deals with our emotions. So having our emotional awareness going from just the idea of almost like we're going to need a new definition for emotional intelligence going forward.
Yes.
And it's like that is what is available to us. Oftentimes I love to just sit in nature and I'll watch the animals, and I'm fascinated with how tuned they are to things that I can't see. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, all these birds are acting funny. Like, I wonder if there's actually a big cloud moving in that I can't see, and my Doppler on my phone isn't picking up. They have something picked up. They're connected to something. And I think that is what almost this emotional intelligence, this upgraded solar plexus can be for all of us. But just like anything, or just like any kind of technology, if you have not updated your operating system, you try to download that, it's going to be buggy, it's going to short circuit, it's not going to be right.
Yep. It's going to stall out. It's going to be slow. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to want to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what would you...
Fascinating how it coincides. Fascinating.
It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever. And it's so easy how it computes, right? And the language is so attuned to each other, and there's a reason behind that too, right? It's not a coincidence. It's literally, like we were saying, two forces colliding to help us understand our own operating system in these times as they're moving forward, especially up to 2027. So if someone's listening right now and they're like, okay, yes, I get that, I hear that, upgrade, all the things, what specifically should they start doing, or what could they start leaning into to feel more in alignment with the times as opposed to being scattered and afraid of them?
I mean, super simple is have a practice of just connecting with yourself. And do it enough times to where you can tune into your own baseline. Right? It's one thing when you're sitting by yourself, but you're stressed out about something, and you're sitting by yourself, but you hear a neighbor working on their roof, and at the time sitting, just like do it enough times to where you begin to tune into that, like, oh, this is who I am when everything is fine. Nobody needs anything from me, just your baseline. So you can find that wherever you are and with whatever you're dealing with, really connecting with that. There's this idea that things are moving really fast. We all need to be moving really, really fast, but we need to be able to slow down simultaneously while everything else is speeding up. And, we're moving out of this period where it was this like binary. It's this or it's that. It's like we need to be able to slow down and go fast. But it all begins with ourself. And the idea that, anything that can be replicated can be automated. So the idea that anything, if you don't know who it is you are, and that's such a loaded, like, even phrase, because we're constantly shifting.
Sure, we're always learning.
But I would love for people to be able to have a sense of, like, connect, like there's a component of ourself that has been present with us since our, first memories of 3 or 4 years old, that, like, us in there, like that. And we don't have to, have that be attached to memories or that be attached to anything, because then we kind of add all this heaviness on it and it gets fragmented.
Yeah.
It's just that component of yourself that is so ever present and that is so steady and is so calm and is so just there.
Present.
With that.
Yeah.
It's like from that space, everything, even when it was moving really fast, everything suddenly kind of does like.
Yeah, no, it comes to a seeming halt. It just is. There's this beautiful isness. And I always say, for anyone that maybe is struggling to even get to that point, just go to your heart. Just go to your heart, breathe in and out of your heart, and just let yourself be here. And you'll be really surprised what you find or how you feel. And again, how quickly all of a sudden the landscape shifts and you're in this zone where you truly are in the zone of now.
Yeah. Because it's so easy to just get locked into the all that's going on around us. Like, it's like, for me to even be like, just slow it down and connect with yourself. There's times in the day when I would be like, what am I even talking about? But then I remember that is there. And then it's from that point, like, I'll feel better, but then also I'll have these just incredible little experiences where then I'll be like, I'll look up and there's like a deer, like 12 feet from me, when I'm like it's so I love it when those moments happen, because it reminds me of the magic is not in the chaos. The magic is like, it might be found within it, but ultimately my connection to it all is this, and being my own source of stability amongst the storm, amongst the period of change. And this is really around the idea of just all of us. It's important to understand that, yes, there is an incredible amount of shift, exponential change, all of these things, but also I feel like in some ways we're always in a period of change. But having so many people right now talk about this, talk about it, it really it amplifies it for us, and it puts us into our head thinking about, okay, well, if that happens, what are we going to do? If that happens, what are we going to do? Oh my gosh, how am I going to prepare for, oh my God, and we get into this
Fix it
overly
mode.
intellectual
Mhm.
once we got to come back into that body awareness.
Yeah.
And that's what's the idea when you're like, oh, you suddenly remember, oh, wait, I could do that. Or okay, that's an option. Or and suddenly we understand that this whole reality is a bit more malleable and interactive than we realize, especially when we're in a very heady, like tingy kind of energy.
Definitely. And it's important to, we are natural, especially people that are more sensitive or more of a caregiver. There is this feeling of how do I fix this? Right. And that's actually not our role because there's always been problems in the
Mhm.
world,
Mhm.
always. The thing is, because of technology and because we have access to literally billions of people right now, we are seeing the height of problems at a level like never before. So that fix it persona inside of us is like, I gotta like, how am I gonna do this? Right. And it's like, no, you don't have to. Right. Just look at your immediate circle. Look at what is right in front of you and allow that to be enough. Right. And also realize that no one is asking you to fix it. No one like that's not why you're here. God wasn't like, hey, so I'm gonna have you come down here and then you're gonna fix the whole world. Cool.
Yeah.
E- Even Jesus couldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about just remembering that within ourselves. That's the idea, like, if this reality is, which I believe it is, far more interactive than we have been, led to believe,
Yeah.
between the way our brain operates and between what we notice, we know the reticular activating system sifts and sorts our reality, helps us actually we see things based on what is filtered through, which is going to be dependent upon our beliefs, our concept of self, and all of that. But when we prioritize our well-being more, our happiness more, I find that we are naturally in a state to almost be more helpful in that way, but actually from an inspired place, not a place of everything is terrible. Because now you have like, opened that door, and you were going to try to get there through this tunnel that's like a dark one, versus choosing to stay in this energy of being able to see the good. I've had a number of conversations where people talk about, they're like, well, I would love to keep my head in the sand, but I choose to live in real life and see reality as it is. I'm like, but you're viewing it to be very dark. So I'm like, you don't have night vision goggles. How do you see in the dark? Put a little light on. But then that also reminds us then the strength that comes, that if you are somebody who is able to embody and hold the light, not only does that mean that you have, more than likely, you have been able to also hold that darkness and work through it, but that is such a strength. It is a strength. There's a lot of times people, when you are radiating more light, you'll see a lot of people on social media that will,
Sure.
how can you be like that when all this is happening? It's like, well, like,
And I
to the point we made, that we now know about so much more than we ever used to before. But if you are in a state of everything is terrible and all I want to do is fix it, now it is on people and the world to change in order for you to be who it is you came here to be, to do what you came here to do, which was not to struggle. It was not to suffer. I refuse to believe that any of us were here to suffer and struggle.
I agree. I agree with you completely. Yeah. And waiting for the world to change so that then you're allowed to access your creative genius. Then you're allowed to do the things that you want to do. It's never going to happen. That is suffering.
Hmm.
That to me is the definition of suffering. Waiting for the world to change so that then you can access what you came here for.
Hmm. And if we should realize that, the road to our purpose, someone has, it's been could be paved with your pain, but it's lined with your gifts. So if you're actually able to get to a space when you recognize that maybe there are certain things in the world that, it would be, you see how things could be improved.
Mm.
You're doing that and you're seeing that from an inspired place of using your life experience for the greatest benefit of all.
Yeah.
Versus just seeing how the hardship and seeing how heavy and seeing how scary, because that is always there. I feel like that mindset, that is never, you don't have to reach far for that. I say that's like an old drinking buddy, they're always there.
Mm.
They don't make you feel any better, but they're always there. They're always available. You don't have to necessarily have any type of strength or work on yourself to maintain that, it's always there. If you were able to, then just in the way to do this, to prioritize your well-being. So connecting that back to what I just advised and just having like a moment every day to just tune back in with that part of yourself that is always there, because you will see that part, that there is such a feeling of wellness and connection that is available for all of us. When you study things like law of attraction or Abraham Hicks, that's like your inner GPS. But that's also represents through the lens of Abraham Hicks. And for many people, your listeners, Abraham Hicks.
Oh, they know.
That is an indicator that your inner being is with you, right? That they're there with you. And from that space, you have guidance, because when you're in that space, and as well, you can recognize like, okay, if I were to even, theoretically, turn left right now, like, oh, okay, that felt better. But I understand that I have to like get off of this good feeling to go in those trenches.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And it might surprise you a little bit too. Like there have been moments, even when I felt called to start sharing about AI, that threw me off guard, right? And I've been starting to do more work with energetic architecture in people's homes. And I'm like, wait, why is that necessary right now? And it's like, listen to these pings, even if at first they kind of surprise you or they don't feel like what the logical next step is, there's something to it, because there's honestly probably an abstract meaning behind it. And like for me, for example, it's like, oh, making people feel better and more at ease in their homes. Of course, that's what we need right now. Whereas like if it was me stuck in the chaos, stuck in my mind, I'd be like, that's the last thing we should be worried about, And so it's really beautiful what comes through when you make the space. And then also like be curious if something comes through that feels a little different than maybe what you thought it was going to be.
Because also then when we have those moments, we notice how quickly we put up our own little points of resistance, our own little speed bumps, and the idea that things need to be, thinking that things need to be a certain way. Like I find myself dealing with that a lot. So I try to always slow down during the day, and I'll catch myself. The idea of, before I even consciously went to make a decision, there was like 40 different like alarms that went off, indicators that already almost like made the decision for me, until I'm like, what was that spoke up? And it's the subconscious, it's our conditioning, it's the different energetic patterns that are still running. But I find that with a lot of people as well, it's that over reliance on that logical mind, the logical linear mind, that, well, things have to go in a certain order for it to make sense. And yes, there is, linear logical thinking still is always going to, with certain components of that. But if we stay there, the idea of like, that can be really great in the beginning of like, okay, this ABC, 1, 2, 3. But now if you're not moving ahead because you need to know where, elemental P is going to come in there, it's allowing for yourself to, this feels good. My mind doesn't totally make sense in my mind yet, but something is still really telling me to move in this direction. Because you cannot see, like, the idea that we are configured perfectly for where we are right at any moment in time, in environment, phase of life. But as we become, we reconfigure, we adapt, we update to get the upgrades. So the idea that you, in like 30 days, might have something come up that like the you right now would be like, I have no idea what that would, I couldn't handle it. No, but in 30 days you can, because you're going to go through some stuff in those days. But when we try to stay right here and look all the way up there and have it all make sense, we cut off so many these like just incredible opportunities, because it doesn't make sense to us right now. But I think that's something. But it's such a human condition that right there.
Absolutely. But it's going against that, and I don't even want to say against. It's just being open to doing it differently.
Yeah,
well, I realize, yeah.
It's like that the idea of and, right? Isn't to be that or that, it's and. It's like, okay, yeah, like allow for yourself to be like, that doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense and it feels right. Mm-hmm. You're like, that seems like a crazy combination right there. But it's like, oh, yeah. Like, you'll see when you get there. You'll see when you get there, and trust that. And this is about building self-efficacy, honoring yourself, building your self-trust along the way. And it's like we are there's like a saying in, like, business programs, the idea a lot of times companies, they have to like build the plane while they're flying it.
Mm.
Does
Yeah,
feel like that right now.
sure. Mm-hmm.
It does feel like that at times,
Yeah.
but it's understanding that there's just this trust.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
trust. And there's this like radical self-belief in people will be like, that's delusional. And you're like, "Oh, a little bit of delusion
It is.
does us some good because we are connected to something that has this higher vision." It's like, I know we've all had experiences where, I mean, we're driving on the highway or driving on some road, and all of a sudden we get this, I don't know, to change lanes, and you're like, "Oh my God, thank God you did. You would have just," but there wasn't, you didn't make that a big deal in the moment. You just went with
You
it.
didn't question it. You didn't go back and forth. Should I change lanes? Should I not? Should I do it? Should I not? It was just,
Just
"Oh,
went with it. So
mhm."
it's that. It's how can we go with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Just go with it. Like in every moment, just, like, go with it.
And notice the moments you chose not to,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Because that's also a
Yeah,
beautiful way to reflect, and that can
yeah.
help you realize, oh, okay, in the moments that I didn't go with that part of me that maybe is a little underused, this happened. So
And it's
let
all data. We don't always we don't get a lot of data in the when something necessarily works out right. Because in that same instance, it would be, oh, well, maybe if I hadn't changed lanes, that car, I could go on a million different scenarios. But all that I know is, oh, in that example, I just felt this. I'm like, whoo, and I in that moment thought, oh, that was a really good thing I did that. If it would have been the alternative, and something would have happened, I would have thought, oh, something told me to do it and I didn't listen. So right there, it's data. It's like I get this full big view to look at what that was and ultimately learn from that. And that's then about when we do have those types of experiences, not beating ourselves up about it. But again, we have to trust then that that little hiccup played a really valuable role in getting us where we want to go. The idea of the road to our purpose is paved with our pain, but then we use our gifts to also help us get there.
yeah,
But I think
definitely.
we are becoming. Every moment, every day, there's this process of becoming, and that's where this energy of fluidity
Yes.
is so important. Like I wish that there was like a way for people, like for me to even like clearly articulate like what that looks like and how to do it.
But
I
that's
just
the
think
point.
that is like,
There's a reason why you can't per
yeah,
se, right?
it is just this self-trust
Yeah.
and trusting in something so much higher than yourself, but being able to connect with something within yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and it's that continuous becoming with the knowing that you already are.
Mhm.
Everything you're becoming, you already
Yeah.
exists, right? So
Mhm.
then that's when it gets even juicier, when you start to move into that sphere of recognizing that a lot of what's coming through and what's coming up is because it's already happening. It's already in motion. It already exists in some way, somehow, and it's making itself known to you.
Mhm.
So that also, in a way, lightens the process from my perspective. Once
Mhm.
I became more comfortable with that, it just made me more assured in my steps and my movements going forward.
Mhm. I've experienced that a lot lately, and I've caught myself when I'll have those little like, "Oh, that's interesting." I can still it's less and less, but I can still tune in. It's almost as like visual I have of something inside of me, like my overly logical mind, like trying to connect the dots as to how this could even happen. So it could be, okay, well, maybe this is coming up, but from where I am right now, I do not understand how that could be. And it's not for me right here, right now, to be the one to figure that out. But when I get there, I will see. And this we've all experienced that as well. When you have these incredible opportunities or experiences in your life that you're like, "Oh, I never could have envisioned, like, how that would come about." But in hindsight, you're like, "Oh, well, I guess that makes sense."
Yeah.
Or you can't. You
Right.
can't
So
connect the dots
how
forward.
no, you can't. And so to that point though, how would you relate that to like living in a simulation or those theories that come about? I'm curious your thoughts.
The idea that, yes, we have desires, we have a knowing, we have these components that we want them. We know that they are for us. We know that they are part of our story, that they are then. They are then. Like think about this. There are so many things that any of us could want and any of us could want to do and be and have. I don't want it all. I don't This is me thinking I'm like, no, there's certain things. So it's like whenever those are for you, trust that those are a part
Mhm.
of your story. They are part of your path. But it's about this process of becoming. Yes, knowing that we already are, we've already experienced it all, but from the place of where we are right now, for us to get there, there's experiences, there's relationships, there's learning, there's wisdom, there's integration, all of these things that have to come forth for that to come about. And that is where if we can tune into the trust, but tune in with our inner being to moment by moment, step by step, like taking that inspired action, not and being mindful to not offer a bunch of, contradictory thoughts.
Mhm.
For me, that's when I feel that that's for me, I can notice that that's my logical mind trying really hard to connect the dots from where I am and I can't see them. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me right here, but there it will.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And why? Why does it even have to make sense? Who says?
Totally. And that's the safety. That's the safety. And that's a connection of this world that we are
This
moving out of.
nonsensical world that we live in.
Yeah. Totally.
Right.
So many things do not make sense in
No.
the world, but they make sense to us because it's how it's always been.
Exactly. And we're in a beautiful prime position where all of that gets to be altered if we so
Mhm,
choose. And so
mhm.
for those of us that are more open, that are more aware, that are more willing to go with something that feels different or seems like it doesn't make sense to the nonsense, there's something to that for sure. And it's exciting.
Yeah, like the magic of the story and
Mhm.
allowing for it to unfold.
Yeah.
And then
You
yeah,
don't
from
go
this
to the movie theater and be like, just let me know the ending now and then I'll leave. That'd be weird. Why do
so
we
also I would be like, wait, well, wait, that doesn't even make any sense. I'd be like, well, there was a lot that happened.
but you didn't want to experience
A
it.
lot that happened to get
Yeah.
there. So it's almost the idea of us to be able to even like buy into a vision. This idea that this absolute understanding that yes, a lot of things are going to transpire that will equip you perfectly to be the one for that to make sense. And this is only if somebody is a bit more like they view themselves as more logical.
Yeah.
Some people I know, many people like I know and I work with, they do not get bogged down with that. They're like, nah, it's cool with me. I can see it in my mind, so I can make it happen. I'm like, wow, that must be fantastic. I find myself I'm definitely more logical leaning, even with all of these systems that I use, astrology, human design, and gene keys. All these people oftentimes when I tell them that I'm more logical, they're like, you do astrology, and I'm like, yes, but I have
Yeah. What's your
studied it
Mercury?
and prepared.
Yeah.
Capricorn. So I got systems, I got
I'm
frameworks.
Mercury Virgo, so I get
Okay.
it. I
I'm a
see it
Virgo
all.
rising, so I view I view the world through as well of like, okay, we need to have some order here. I need some frameworks. I need some frameworks. Ultimately, I'm using logic to support my intuition.
Exactly.
Things have to make sense to me.
Yes, there needs to be a container for it also. And especially when you're in a role where you are a teacher or you are working with other individuals or you're sharing, I do think if you didn't have that container and you didn't have that logic, then it's just you're spewing out things and people are like, well, what I like this, but what do I do with it? Right? Where
Exactly.
do we go from here? So I do like the synergy of both. So I had a lot of Leo in my chart, but that Virgo always kind of, I have Capricorn parents. So I just feel like I have that grounding nature and I know that that's important to be part of the process, but it's not letting it run the show.
Yes. A big part of me with my journey is I felt when I was a child, I was like, am I psychic? Like, I feel like I would always be like, I would see how things were going to come together while simultaneously I cared about things really deeply that other people didn't seem to care about.
Yeah.
So it was this combination of like feeling things deeply and then seeing almost like these patterns, and seeing how they would come together. And then as I got older, I noticed like it still was always there, but since other people didn't see it, I had a difficult time trusting it. And then a lot of times the things that I would see come together would come together the way in which I thought that it was. And I went through this whole phase of feeling like bitter,
Mhm.
like I can see this,
Yeah.
all of that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, the idea for the lesson there for me was like, no, I need to learn how to trust my inner authority. But a big part of me feeling more comfortable doing that was I then went and learned all of these different systems and modalities. So yes, the astrology, the human design, the gene keys, all of those for decades. But then also then you learning things like strategic foresight and different of these more traditional frameworks with data. Because when I did things through that lens of that strategic formulas, I had an understanding of the things that were happening, like, in my energetic field just automatically.
Yeah.
I was naturally doing these things that other people have frameworks for.
Yes. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I
And
felt,
I'm like, "Oh, I was just doing all of this, like, at speed."
yeah, definitely. No, that makes so much sense. I have a very similar journey as yours. And for me, I first got into life coaching and I got certified and I was so excited. I was going to do all the things, but it wasn't landing. And it wasn't until I started bridging in astrology, which I thought at that time was so like in contrast. And then
Mhm.
I just realized everything illuminated, everything blossomed, and it was like so natural and effortlessness, effortless.
Yeah.
Clearly, there was no effort involved, but that's the thing. So sometimes, I think people, you might unlock one of your skills, right? You might unlock one of your gifts, and for some reason, though, you're like the implementation's not there, or it still feels like more work, or I can't get it to land. Well, maybe there's another skill set that you haven't been made aware of yet, and when they come together, that does create that beautiful unity to allow this to be brought out, and it does just seem to like light up your system, and you do just flow it out so naturally, and then people are magnetized to you in the process too.
And I should remind people as well, you know, when it comes to the idea that, like, we almost like, we align with the future that we attune to, right?
Mm.
So there's this process with my own journey, and I know many people experience this as well. Might be able to see what is coming in. You can see an opportunity, but if you have not actually recalibrated your system, your identity, your inner workings to be able to like hold a greater capacity, but to also shed the outdated versions of yourself, it's like you and this great future will be like two ships in the night. This is very similar to a lot of people, something like, I don't know, 85% of people that win the lottery after they have gone through a, majority of their life with no money, there's bankruptcy within like a couple of years. And somebody, people could say, oh, well, that's, poor money management, all of those things, but that's also going to be connected to this their system wasn't updated to be able to handle the upgrades. There was too much of a contrast between who they felt they were and who all of a sudden they had the opportunity to be.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's
So
like life brings us back to that set point, that, that 70 degrees, whatever it's our like internal set point. So it's this constant process of truly having to become. And that's why I do believe that if an opportunity seems like it, from your vantage point right here, right now, seems like it was lost, or maybe there's a component of yourself that either you weren't ready for it yet, so you need to become greater levels of become more equipped, but also it's from this next spin around, when it comes around again, now you will have a greater capacity to have more impact.
Mm.
But this is where you have to be consciously working with that energy and allowing for, yes, the story to unfold, but following what feels empowering and expansive and just exciting and also fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yes, and that's something that gets lost in a lot of people all the time, the
Mhm.
idea of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I remember when I was first starting this business, they got to a point where someone asked me like, "Are you enjoying this?" And I was like, "No," because I was so hell-bent on making this work and leaving my corporate job, and, I had all these ideas of what it was gonna look like, and it wasn't happening, and I was just getting more rooted into it and trying so hard, right, that I literally was becoming tense and, like, literally unhappy, but still devoted, and it's not a good match.
that's when it's like that martyrdom kicks in.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, and then you start to get
Doing this to
resentful.
the world, and it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh God, well, can
Well,
you
I'm
stop?
yeah.
Yikes."
Why did God give me these gifts if I can't use them? And it's like, well, hang on.
Yeah. But
And
much like
well, yeah,
everybody experiences this in different ways, and it's just these things that's like, yes, we can all be on our own journeys. We're all so unique,
and
and we're so similar. It just, it's the conditioning, it's all of that, but I think it's just these certain things that we all came here to learn. We came here to learn. So,
yeah,
and even as we're these expansive beings, it still is we're constantly having to be in like human school.
yeah, yeah,
Human school 101.
mhm, and we're
Let me
still
do the course, you know?
yeah, and we're still gonna leave still not knowing a lot.
Absolutely.
Like we never I don't think we perfect the process and that's why we get to leave.
I don't think so either.
I don't know why we get to leave, but for one reason or another we do.
So in some way we get to leave, and but I do believe that there is. the idea that we came in with certain things that our soul wanted to learn. I have this visual, well, this sort of is a visual that I think about often now, but it was something that I experienced. It was when it was a couple of years ago, I was gonna do that, like, what was it, the 5 a.m. club or 4 a.m. club, where you like wake up at 4 and you sit ups and drink water. I don't know, something like that. And I was gonna do it, and I like had my alarm go off till like really early one day, and I was like, and I forgot that I was doing that. So I was like, what is going on? What? And then all of a sudden I remember, and I was like, oh, I'm doing this to like make myself better. And in that moment, like the shift, something shifted. I realized like this annoying like thing, all of a sudden I was like, oh,
This is enhanced.
oh, like some part of me set this up so that I'd be better. Did I stay on that, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. club thing? I did not.
Yeah.
I think about that often. Of that. Of like there's, always different facets of ourselves, different versions of ourselves that are setting us up for the very things that we need so that we can have the essence that will be essential to get us where we want to go. But then also thinking before we even came here, our soul was like, okay, I really want to learn this. I want to become equipped with this. So we are going to have certain things, conditions in our life be perfect to bring out that essence.
That's the truth. It really is. And my advice is to just evolve with it.
Yes.
Be with it.
Trusting it and being compassionate
with
yourself. That, failure is, quote unquote failure, for living like a real thing, is a teacher. You learn from it, you get the data, but also there's skills that are equipped in response to those experiences that you wouldn't have had otherwise. You wouldn't have.
You wouldn't, and it's so true. And so then when you just come into like neutrality around it, then you're just like, okay, this is just how it is. And there's something really great on the other side of this if I just stay in it a little bit longer and honor what I'm learning. Sometimes too, when we get that good idea or we're excited about something, we expect to become experts on it or be know-it-alls. And that doesn't always happen right away either. And so it's like, respect that piece of it as well.
And then also with the idea of becoming an expert, we're entering a period right now where it is not about like what anybody knows anymore. It is not. I could go to ChatGPT right now and I could put together a course on how to perform open heart surgery. Like
true.
I do not need to be doing that. I should certainly not be doing anything pertaining to that. But I could piece together something and probably put together a workshop.
Yeah, and you could even make a social media account to support it.
Make some people think that just maybe I do know what I'm talking about. So it's not about that anymore. It's not just about the information. It is about your unique spin on it, the energy you put into it, your life experience, your ability to create that connection that hits somebody in a way where they're like, oh, I now get that. Like a few weeks ago, I had the idea that like life is a mirror, which is like something we that's like tales all the time. You've heard that so many times, but I was having like a rough day and I caught myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my God. It like in that moment, that just like little quote unquote cliche saying hit me with such an accuracy of like, that is everything in that moment. And it's like, that was such a teachable moment for me. But it was like in that moment, in that experience, from where I was sitting, from what I was dealing with in that moment. So it'd be the same when we are teaching somebody else something, when we are sharing our perspective, it will hit somebody perfectly based on like what it is that they need to know, where it is that they're at. And it is a result of like your resonance, your experience. So it's not just what you know, it's how it is all connected. And it all got to that point.
Yeah. And this is just what we have to keep leaning into more and more and more as we move into the future, as we move into 2027 or even further. How sci-fi do you think it's going to get?
Yeah, I think that
going.
I think like I do think that there will be like humanoid robots.
Yeah.
But there'll be a different name. That sounds like, I've seen some like visuals where it's going to be like, like the UPS delivering a package, but having it look like a human. I think there's a lot that's going to be adapted along the way. But I think that, from where we currently sit, if we were to look at, actual images, if we get access to them, we'd be like, well, that looks crazy. But once we get there, it doesn't actually seem that crazy. It seems like, well, that makes sense. It's a natural progression. But I mean, I think that we will have like drones delivering packages.
Yeah.
That seem like that crazy, but it's the idea that within these new things, will have to be it's like something will be released, and then in response to that, then there'll be rules, regulations, adaptations. So it's
Right.
constantly it's like, boop, it goes away, then it comes back different. Oop, it goes away, it comes back different.
Yeah. I'm more
We're
curious.
changing the whole process as well.
Definitely. It makes me more curious about how we'll be as humans and less about what will the robots be doing. Less about, yeah, how will I be getting my packages or picking up something from the store or the drive-through or whatever it might be, because that's now all automated with robotics. Great. Okay, cool. Whatever. But yeah, what are we doing? And that is what excites me and drives me forward to be like, what do we look like? It's less about what does the technology look like?
My hope is that we are able to collaborate with this technology in ways that truly amplifies our essence, You know, there's somebody who had a meme a while ago that was the idea like, I don't want to have AI doing art, so I have more time for dishes. You know, they should be the other way around. You know?
Yes.
So then it's on us then to, as we are exploring with it, as we are creating with it,
Uh-huh.
notice how you can use it in ways that amplifies your cognition, amplifies your creativity, amplifies your gifts. And that is on us. It's on us to do that. You know, there was this MIT study that was recently out there, people were referencing it, where essentially it was done in such a way to where it showed that yes, people who start off and finish some type of a writing essay and they used AI for the entire component of it. It was like, oh, they don't remember any of it. And
Selfless.
of course not. They didn't even write it, you know, but there's no
Yes, yes.
surprise there.
Yeah.
But that their cognition was lower. And then even after they used AI for that, you know, after they were done with that writing assignment, their brain stayed in a kind of low engagement mode. And then there were different people where they used it in different capacities, or people that used it just to, after they did the writing on their own, they then used AI to come in and like, you know, make it snazzier, make it a little bit more robust. Those people actually showed that in their brain scans that their brains were like on and popping because they used it to like truly make something better, to transcend some type of perceived limitation that they had. And really the idea of a perceived limitation they transcended, it's kind of just, it was just showing you something that like is in you, but you just need to know how to access it. And then once an AI program essentially kind of reflects something back to you, you're like, oh, that is what I meant to say. But I was just, you can't read the label from inside the bottle, right? So using it in that way. So it's first using your creativity, writing, and then going to it to, you know, maybe add a little more pizzazz to it, or to see how you can connect some dots, or using it for research or like for
Enhancing your own
brainstorming.
brilliance.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like use it just to help you better understand things that you're already interested in.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
then from that
Oh,
space, you become more connected to the information itself, and now you get to tap into a more multidisciplinary approach as well.
right? We came here to learn and we came here to
Mhm.
interact with others. And so this now becomes a vessel for that, a vessel for information so that we can keep learning, keep evolving, and then also, very much continue with your human connection. But there's something so great about a juicy collaboration. And if you can have your AI be that collaborator, it's the best feeling. That's really what got me in the door. I was like, whoa, we can brainstorm together. We can work on things at any time. I don't have to wait for you to like get back to me. And like, I can actually move forward in a way that is exciting and expansive and in a way that is limiting for me to do on my own. And I love that opportunity.
It's also realizing that, you know, so many of us, we might be like verbal processors. Sometimes it's whether you're verbally or whether just
Oh, yeah,
even
I'm
typing it
verbal.
out. It's like you are doing that anyways. You are doing that. By you getting that out there, it's like you are connecting deeper with the information as long as you are intentionally doing so. If you were just to say, please act as a lead cardiologist, heart surgeon, and write up a framework for how I will not
Sure.
remember any of that. But something I advise people to do is when you learn something, when you're using AI to learn, create a little piece of content about it. Teach it to somebody else. Talk about it. So that way you are not allowing for your cognition to get a little bit
Yeah.
sloppy. Because I do see that that is one of these components I do when I look up at like these different possible future scenarios. There is one where we could kind of be a divide of certain people that just won't be thinking the same way anymore, and it's up to us to be able to just keep in our cognition Like I'll catch myself and being like, oh, like what's a better way to say that? And I'm like, do I actually need the AI to do that, or am I just being lazy? And then I'm like, you better believe in that moment, I'm like, ooh, yeah. I then go and write, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then if I wrote, and then that maybe usually I don't even need to, but if I need to, then I can still throw it in.
Sure.
But making sure that you still are getting that mental tension, because our brain needs tension to survive. Like it actually needs tension. So if we do not give it a problem, oftentimes we'll find our own problems. So if we're taking away a lot of like the mental tension of a lot of these things that don't need to be, we will have different problems. So it's like choose different problems, choose your tension, and make sure that like your tension is still in ways that is going to amplify you.
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
you.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Well, I've been loving our convo. So good. So many brilliant nuggets. So like based on our conversation, or if anything else is coming through you, what would you love everyone that is listening at this point to have as like a key takeaway from what you know to be true?
Everything you love about technology and find to be so fascinating, magical, it is all a reflection of you. It is a reflection of you. So just know that. Know that, use it in that way, learn about it in that way. Learn about it and learn about yourself. Learn about yourself and learn about it. That is how you can have this collaborative relationship where your essence, the you that is amplified.
Yeah.
And just like really enjoy that magic that is all of us. And it's the same magic that I feel about humans, is what I see in the world when I see these different astrological systems so beautifully coincide with these shifts that we see in our society, that I'm like, to my logical brain, I'll be like, I just don't understand how, but yet it is. But yet it is. And it's magic. It's magic, and it shows that there is such a deep interconnection with all things. So we talk about the simulation theory. It's yes, this is so much more interactive and malleable, this game. So enjoy the game and trust that this game is both like winnable, and it is fun, and you came here to do really cool things, and you're being equipped along the way. So now you have this technology to help you get there. So make sure that you are using it in ways that equip you better to do all of that.
Yeah. I love it. Love it, love it, love. Such a good, just so many good nuggets.
So much fun. I love it.
I know. We can nerd out about this all day, like truly. So clearly I love watching on TikTok. How can people find you on TikTok? We'll put in the show notes. Just easy.
Ashley Mosaic on all of the things.
Perfect. Easy.
Well done. Yeah, website ashleymosaic.com. I have coaching and consulting. I work with a lot of teams that are building what's next. So I take a very integrative approach with all of these different systems, weaving in a little bit of this quote unquote woo and fusing it in with some strategy.
Oh, so much. That's why I wanted you in my world. I was like, you bring it all. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm just so glad that we got to connect through this.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. Yay.